Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name's Katira. I am hella emotional, and I created the workshop for us to have a space to sit in our shadows, reflect on our thoughts, and come out on top. What's up, everybody? I'm back in this thing, but in a different format. If you're new here, then of course you don't know what format I'm talking about, but I do want you to leave a comment down below saying hello. Don't be rude to me, okay? But if you're familiar with this platform, you already know that I normally have my podcast going, but we are on an off season right now. So I am happy to bring to you guys my emotional intelligence 101 course here for the free ski on the YouTube. And I haven't decided if I'm gonna put this up on Spotify or Apple yet, but if you are listening on Spotify, then you can watch the presentation that I'm about to give to you guys. I want you guys to get comfortable, get cozy, get your journals, your notebooks, your pens, your papers, all that jazz together because we're about to be in session. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Mindful Emotions and Introductory Emotional Intelligence course. Yay! Like I said at the beginning, I'm Katera and this is the Emotional Workshop. So, first and foremost, I want to say congratulations. Hello. You're taking the first step into enhancing your emotional intelligence just because you just want to know what emotional intelligence is, how you can enhance it, what aspects of your life emotional intelligence can be in, and so on and so forth. So, here at the Emotional Workshop, our vision is to empower the collective to trust their emotions through the understanding of emotional intelligence while navigating relationships, decision making, personal development, and life changes. I'm so happy you guys are here today to help me make this vision come true and to just make this vision come true for yourself because you deserve to have a healthier relationship with yourself and the ones around you. So, our mission here is to help overthinkers understand their emotions so they can use them as a tool for success and to teach people how to use their emotions as a navigation system. We're often taught to get out of your emotions, get into your head. And that is true. But we also need to think about how our emotions lead us in certain directions, how they lead us to our desires, how they lead us away from conflict, how they lead us to setting boundaries. But we'll get into all of that later on. What are you going to learn today? You're going to get to know me, little me, your teacher, okay? You're going to learn the basics of emotional intelligence. You're going to learn the importance of emotional intelligence in personal and professional life. And I'm also going to take you through some practical exercises for self assessment. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's me looking all bashful and stuff. But if you don't know me, you're going to get to know me now. My name is Katera, like I said before. And one of my favorite quotes that I've come up for myself is sensitivity is my superpower. Emotional intelligence is my shield. And I could say so much about that quote because sensitivity is often looked at as a bad thing, but to me, it's my superpower because I'm able to connect with myself. I'm able to connect with people around me, and I'm able to just give myself that grace to understand myself. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in because you also need to have that weapon or that shield or that toolbox. I don't want to say weapon because it don't have to be that, crazy, but having a tool or some form of protection to help you while you navigate your emotions and while you navigate different relationships is definitely going to come from emotional intelligence. So, with me finding emotional intelligence, I've been able to have my own shield that helps me to see where I need to put boundaries up, where I need to give myself grace, where I need to reflect more, where I need to become more self aware, so on and so forth. It has just given me a toolbox that has just come in handy whenever I need it in these different situations of life. So, like I said again, my name is Katera, but if you don't know how to pronounce it, just think of it like the earth, Terra. And most of the time, people call me Katara, like the avatar, or like a guitar. I've heard it all, okay, in grade school. But just remember, Katera, like the earth. So, I'm going to run you guys through my story, who I am, what I do, and how I got here. So, first off, who am I? This random girl on the internet trying to tell you about emotional intelligence. Not really, but I am a free spirited, a fun loving, big hearted 30-year-old who's just out here chasing her dreams, y'all. Just out here trying to do my big one. And I found this field well into my journey, which we'll get into in a little bit. But what do I love to do? I love traveling. Traveling to me is something that's really helped my emotional intelligence as well, giving you guys more courses. There is a course on social skills, which is very important for emotional intelligence. And in order to enhance your social skills, you have to be able to connect with different cultures, different perspectives. And traveling is one of those things that's really going to help you to connect around the globe, around the world, around the country, wherever you're traveling to, and see different people in their elements, how they move, how they think, what their cultures and their mannerisms are, all those different things. And it's really helped me. So I really love to travel, not just because it's fun and not just because I took their shop in different states and countries, but because I get to connect with different people just in different spaces. I also love concerts. Concerts are amazing. I can't say everyone loves concerts, but all people do. And we're all connected with music. So it's just something I really, really enjoy. My alone time, you guys, I grew up as an introverted only child. I do have siblings, but I grew up as an only child. So I just have that only child syndrome. And I'm an introvert. So I really, really value my alone time. Last but not least, I love emotions. We wouldn't be here if I didn't love emotions. We would none of us would be watching this video right now if I didn't love emotions. I've always embraced my emotions. I've always understood my emotions and I've never shied away from talking about emotions. So, speaking of emotions, what do I do? Why am I here right now? I teach people who overthink, number one, who wants to know more about their emotions, and people who desire to enhance their emotional intelligence, how to use emotional intelligence as a tool for successful relationships and personal growth. So that's why you guys are here. So happy to have you, and I'm so happy to be your teacher. So, how did I get here? It's been a journey, okay? My journey started in childhood, just a real brief synopsis of my childhood. I grew up as a military brat with a single mom. So automatically I had to figure out who I was, how I was going to navigate the world, and what my emotions were trying to tell me at a very young age. So I kind of started this journey really early when people were able to just play outside and do whatever. I was able to play outside too, but I also had other things in the background where I was like, okay, I got to make sure I do this. I had different responsibilities than the other fifth and sixth graders out there, right? But all in all, I still got a childhood. I still was able to live my life as a kid, but I was very aware of my emotions at a very young age. After I graduated from high school, I decided to go to college and I went to WKU for psychology, but then I didn't finish. I ended up dropping out because I'm a very creative person, as you can see or tell. And I wanted to go to school for hair. So I decided to go to cosmetology school and pursue that passion for about a year. Then I decided to choose a life of experiences. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go out into the workforce, try to figure out what I really want to do in life because right now I don't know. So let me just go experience life for a little bit and then maybe I'll figure it out. Well, surely enough, I figured it out and I went to school for interior design and I finished that, got into the career field and was in it for about 5 years. I started while I was in school with my internship. So I had 2 years on me once I graduated from college. And now it's been 3 years since I graduated, 5 years in the workforce. And during that time, I was helping people bring out their emotions externally and put their emotions into a physical space. So when they walked into a room, they could feel how they feel, but with their eyes. You know what I'm saying? It was a visual feeling that I was able to help them create. But I realized quickly that, I'm not quite sure if this is really what I want to do. So I do know that I really love emotions. And clearly, I went to college originally for psychology before I went back for interior design, which they kind of go hand in hand, just depends on the discipline that you're working with. But I decided that, you know what? I don't know exactly if I'm going to be a therapist one day or a psychologist one day or a doctor or whatever, but I do know I want to go back down that route of understanding humans and their emotions. And what better way to do that than with emotional intelligence? So that's how I got here. And that has been my journey up until now. So let's go ahead and start talking about the basics of emotional intelligence, you guys. In this module, we will explore what emotional intelligence consists of and how it is commonly broken down for an ease of understanding. Let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get into full emotional intelligence, let's talk about the difference between EQ and IQ. So, of course, we already know what IQ is. It's your intelligence quotient, the intelligence, knowledge, facts, and trivia that one possesses. So we're very familiar with IQ, but EQ is a little different because we don't really talk about emotional intelligence that much, which is why we're here at this class, right? So, emotional intelligence is also known as EQ, which is emotional quotient, the emotional understanding and capability of oneself and others that helps with differing situations and people. So, you're here to enhance your emotional quotient, your EQ, sometimes known as EI. And I'm happy that I get to teach you. There is a very well known psychologist and author by the name of Daniel Goleman who founded the five domains of emotional intelligence. So, we're going to go through those and I'm going to briefly tell you about each one. So, number one on the list is emotional self awareness. So, emotional self awareness has to do with knowing how you feel at any given time and understanding the impact that it has on other people, that your mood has on other people. So being emotionally self-aware, you just, at any time, like I said, you can pinpoint, okay, this is how I feel here. I feel mad. I feel happy. I feel sad. I'm angry. Whatever the case is, you're able to pinpoint that. And you're also aware that, okay, I know that I'm upset right now, so it might affect the people around me. Let me go do this thing. Or maybe you just don't care if it affects people around you. Or maybe you might be a little passive aggressive and you're just like, I know that once I feel this way and it exude this body language or these nonverbal cues, I will let the people around me know that this is what I feel and hopefully they get it, right? So that's another topic for another day, but that's just an example of what emotional self-awareness can look like. Next on the list, we have self-regulation. This is a big one. Woo! This is a big one. So, self regulation is controlling and redirecting one's emotions at any given time. And you also anticipate consequences before acting on impulse. So, impulse control is very, very common for self regulation and being able to handle yourself during stressful situations, during adversity, during just different things that try to push your triggers. Being self regulated is definitely one of those things that speaks to your emotional intelligence. If you're the one that does the emotional outburst, if you're the one who allows people to get you out of character, then you might need to work on your emotional intelligence. But if you're the one who can stand still in the middle of a storm, can stay calm no matter what's going on around you, and doesn't allow conflict to push you in a different way, or make you act in a way that you're not proud of, then you probably have some good emotional intelligence. Now, I know I posted something on my social media not so long ago. If you're from there, hello, welcome. But when I posted something about emotional outbursts, there were people that were like, even emotionally mature people have outbursts sometimes or have had enough, get pushed to their limits. And I'm like, you're so right. You are completely right. It's just that no matter what happens around you, you should be able to control yourself. Even if someone is trying to push you out of your limit or just push you to your limit, you should still be able to be like, you know what? I know that this is my time to walk away and get far, far away from the situation so that I don't lose myself. I don't get out of character. It's like at some point you have to tell yourself, all right, this is not what I want to happen. So I'm going to go the other direction. I'm not going to allow this person to continue to try to push me out of my character, correct? I understand people can hit their limit, but you also have to take accountability for, okay, should I just leave the situation? Should I do something else? Number three on the list is self motivation. Woo! All of these are really good, honestly. When you have self motivation, you don't have a problem delaying gratification. So, instant gratification isn't something that you automatically go to. You utilize emotional factors to achieve your goals. You enjoy the learning process and you persevere in the face of obstacles. So, you don't allow things to stop you. You don't allow self sabotage to come in and just ruin everything and put you in an analysis paralysis. Now, we all have those times where we're like, you know what? I can't do this or it's too hard. I just can't, I get it. But your emotional intelligence will speak loudly depending on how much motivation you have and how hard and strong you feel you are to push through the obstacles around you and to be patient for the gratification and to also use your emotional factors to help you achieve your goals. All those things play a part in self motivation. Number four on the list, we have empathy. I love being empathetic. So, empathy definitely talks about sensing the emotions of the people around you. And empathy differs from sympathy. Okay. Sympathy is like you feel bad for someone. You're just like, oh man, I hate that that happened to you, whatever the case is. Empathy is really putting yourself in their shoes and walking a journey in their shoes. Like, man, if I was in that situation, this is how I would feel. Or maybe you don't resonate, but you do put yourself in their predicament and in their perspective. So you don't give from your perspective, you give from their perspective and understand from their perspective. And last but not least, on Goldman's list for emotional intelligence is social skills. So you're good at managing relationships, inspiring others, and inducing desired responses from the people around you because you're able to relate to everyone around you and you read the room. You're able to be like, okay, you know what? This is what's going on here. This is the tone. This is, I'm not just going to step in here and try to do anything in this situation because I understand that everybody here has their own perspective and this is the situation that's going on right now. You also, have healthy relationships. You handle conflict well and you give empathy and compassion to the people around you. So, social skills is top tier because yes, you can have emotional intelligence with everything within you, but if you can't have it with the people outside of you as well, then you got some work to do. And that's okay because we all have work to do. So, outside of these components that Goldman gave, I have some additional components that I feel are in emotional intelligence as well. First, we have effective communication, being able to communicate how you feel clearly, concisely, directly, and with empathy as well, but being able to just identify how you feel and say it to other people is definitely a component of emotional intelligence. Then we have stress management. Y'all, we stay stressed, okay? We stay stressed, but it's all about how you handle it. How do you face that stress? How do you pinpoint that stress? How do you manage that stress? If you're able to manage your stress with regulation techniques and impulse control, I would have to say that you're pretty good on emotional intelligence when it comes to stress management. So keep going, keep going. Next, we have decision making. Sometimes we like to make emotionally based decisions, and sometimes we like to make strictly logical decisions. Most of the world is going to tell you to make a logical decision over your emotions any day, and they are not wrong. You don't want to act on impulse of how you feel in that moment because 10 minutes later, you might feel different. A day later, you might feel different. A week later, you might feel different, right? So you always want to make a decision from a level head. But with emotional intelligence, once you know how you feel, like I said at the beginning, one of my missions is to help people understand how to use their emotions as a navigation system. Yes, you don't want to make a decision off of impulse of how you feel in that moment, but you do want to be able to reflect on how you feel and make a decision from that reflection. Make a decision from being aware of how you feel and how things are making you feel. So if you need to put boundaries in a certain place, that might be your next call. If you need to have a conversation with someone, that might be your next call. Or if you need to work on something internally because you're triggered by past trauma and past behaviors and actions that have happened to you or that you have done, that might be your next call. It's just all about how you reflect on it. Making a decision comes from a balanced, calm state, always and forever. And the last component that I have is emotional expression through creativity. We all know that in the art world, the media world, a lot of the best art and pieces and music and everything that deals with creativity comes from emotion. Okay. When someone feels something and they tell their story in that medium of whether it's music, film, art, fashion, whatever the case is, we feel it. And if you are not aware of who you are, then it's hard to put that into creativity, right? So, emotional intelligence, number one, emotional self awareness, being able to put that into art and creativity is another way to help enhance your emotional intelligence because you can really not only speak to how you feel, but show how you feel, give a visual and help people understand how you feel and honestly provoke some kind of empathy within other people as well because they might resonate with the art that you put out or resonate with your creativity if you're a person who wants to be of service to others with your art and creativity. It can definitely be a personal thing where you just love to paint to release, or you just love to sing in your house in the shower, or whatever the case is. It can be personal or it could be for career. Either way it goes, creative emotional expression is a key component to emotional intelligence. So let's talk about the importance of emotional intelligence in your personal and professional lives. So in this module, we will explore how emotional intelligence shows up in our personal and professional lives. So, for your personal life, the key rewards that comes from emotional intelligence, number one, have to be healthy relationships. So, emotional intelligence allows you to cultivate healthy relationships because you're aware of your emotions as well as the emotions of the people that you're in relationship with. When you have compassion and empathy for those people, it does nothing but foster healthier relationships. So, who doesn't want a healthy relationship? We all do, right? We all want to be in unison with people or in connection with people and be able to feel safe, feel as if it's not a toxic environment and feel as if that's a place that we can go to release or just be with another person. Not everybody wants to be in a romantic relationship, but a lot of us do want to be in platonic relationships, whether it's just friends, whether it's acquaintances, whatever. We don't want to have bad relationships because it takes a toll on you. And honestly, as a human, you need connection with other people. So if you're not able to hold those healthy relationships, then you're not able to hold connection with other people. So, next we have honest and open conversation. When you are enhancing your emotional intelligence or you just have emotional intelligence, you're able to have those honest and open conversations with people, your friends, your family, your children. They don't feel like they have to walk on eggshells around you. They feel like, you know what, I can be honest with this person, I can be open with this person because I understand and I know they've shown me that when we have conversations, they don't get offended. They don't feel like they have to be on the defense. They don't shut me down because they don't like what I have to hear, or they don't tell me that it's not my place to tell them those things, right? You foster a space that allows people to open up and just be honest and just be who they are. So, like I said, those healthy relationships, creating that safe space for people, honest and open conversations is definitely going to be one of those skills. A variety of perspectives is next on the list because when you are indulging in emotional intelligence or just have a high EQ, then you're allowing yourself to see things from a different lens. You know, you're always seeing the good and the bad, the pros and the cons, the yin and the yang. You're just able to see it and accept it. You're not shying away from it because you don't like what the pro is or you don't like what the con is. You're accepting what is for what it is, and you balance all of your perspectives so that you can come to a balanced decision, which goes back to decision making skills. And last but not least, we have opportunity for growth. When you have a high emotional intelligence or you just want to enhance your emotional intelligence, you give yourself that opportunity to grow personally and personal development, self growth, however you want to look at it. You foster the foundation for that with emotional intelligence. When you choose to be in emotional intelligence or learn more about emotional intelligence, then you're choosing to learn more about yourself. You're choosing to accept who you are and you're choosing to work on the flaws that you have and reflect on the behaviors and the actions you may have done in the past that you might not be proud of, but you want to make better decisions today. So, which is why you're putting yourself on the platform to grow with emotional intelligence. So that's how it can affect your personal life. Let's talk about our professional life. So, depending if you want to be a leader or not, leadership opportunities are key when it comes to emotional intelligence. If you're a person who can understand different perspectives, you can control and regulate who you are and how you respond to things, you're going to be able to lead people in the right direction because they're going to feel like you are a fair leader and you're a leader who they can confide in if they need help with something. How many times have we worked at jobs where we're just like, I can't talk to that manager? They don't understand, or they're going to write me up, or they're just going to tell me to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? But when you lead from emotional intelligence, you're able to have that empathy and compassion for other people. So you understand their situations or you see their perspective and try to see where they are coming from. And also, when you're leading with emotional intelligence and understanding how you feel, and you can be vulnerable and open about how you feel about things in a professional way, of course, without saying too much, you lead by example to your team. Your team is like, okay, you know what? My boss gives grace to themselves, so I know that they'll give grace to me. Like, as an example, let's say your boss is like, you know what, today, you guys, I'm just not really feeling it. I'm gonna take a day off because I'm really burnt out, you know. So let me know if you need anything. I'll be available by text or email, but I won't be online today. So when you have one of those days where you're just like, man, I'm just really not feeling it today and I have some time, I just want to go ahead and take some time off. You're not going to feel scared to tell your boss or feel like you have to lie and say, oh, you know, I had this emergency come up or something like that. You're just going to be like, you know what, today is just not a really good day for me. And I just need time to rest. You know, you're going to feel like you can communicate with that boss because they're being open and honest with you as well, because they are emotionally intelligent and understand their emotions, which reflects back out into their team. So, leadership opportunities, as a former leader and manager in different facets of my life, you definitely need emotional intelligence in order to be a good leader. Okay. And I can't say that I was emotionally intelligent when I was a leader. So looking back on it, it's just like things could have went smoother or there could have been a stronger team if I was more emotionally intelligent. Not to say my teams and stuff wasn't strong, but I was just a younger person who, you know, was just navigating life, trying to figure it out, you know? So now that I'm in this space, I can definitely say that being emotionally intelligent will give you more opportunities in leadership, but will also help foster a healthier team. So next on the list, we have teamwork makes the dream work. Okay. And like in your professional life, if you want your job to go smoothly, 9 times out of 10, you need to have good teamwork ethic, because if you can't work with your colleagues and your coworkers, then you're just like hitting the wall and you probably hate your job, right? So when you're working with other people, you understand how they feel and you understand that they're coming from a different perspective than you may be coming from. So when one part of the team may be off or someone may be having an off day, you know how to address it in an emotionally mature way. You're not just like, oh, this person's not working again, or oh, why this person? Why do I have to work with this person? Da, 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 da. Instead, you're just like, hey, is there anything I can help you with? Hey, are you doing okay? Hey, I really like to work with you. Let me know how I can help. These are the things I need. Whatever the case is, you take the time to make sure that everyone can come together and you guys are here for one common goal, which we also talk about in one of my other courses that is coming up, how to work with your teammates and your colleagues when it comes to social skills and relationship building. So stay tuned for that. So next on the list, we have social motivation. And like I've always been talking about so far, is social skills. Okay. That's really big, especially for professional life. And social motivation means that you have the motivation to make sure that everyone comes together. You know, you don't want to look at it in an individualized way. You want to make sure that you are doing it for the better half of the group that you're involved in. So you're motivated to help the people around you so that you guys can all complete the tasks at hand. And you might not be emotionally invested in the task that you have to do, but you understand the bigger picture. So you're just like, you know what, even though I'm not super, super into this task, I'm super, super into the goal. So I want to make sure that we all are on the same page and that I can help where I want to and that I'm staying motivated so that all of us can rise to the top, as I would hope that the people around me are staying motivated to rise to the top as well. Next on the list, we have resting without guilt. And that's kind of like the example I said earlier with the leadership opportunities. In your professional life, when you have a high emotional intelligence or you're just emotionally mature, then you know that sometimes I need a break. Sometimes I need to sit on the couch. I need to lay. I need to just sleep. Okay. I'm not always going to be up and motivated and ready to go and have the best teamwork ethic or want to lead a team. So I know that I need to rest and I need to not feel guilty about that. Now, I'm not saying that if you're emotionally mature and emotionally intelligent, that you never feel guilty about resting, because with that social motivation or just motivation in general, you are motivated to get things done and you're just like, I want to get this done. Da, 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 da. So more times than not, you probably will feel guilty about it, but you combat those thoughts and remind yourself that, you know what, if I don't rest, I won't get it done. And then my motivation will really dwindle. So let me make sure I rest so that I can add more fuel and more momentum to the motivation that I already have. And also, resting without guilt just kind of speaks to stress management. You understand that in order to keep your stress levels at a manageable level, you have to rest. You have to give yourself a break every now and then. And that's the only way you can stay regulated, or else you're going to get really burnt out and probably be lashing out on people after a while because you lack rest and you're so stressed. So keep that in mind. Last on the list is communication, effective communication, not just regular communication. Because in professional worlds, you definitely have to effectively communicate. You have to say things clearly, directly, and let people know the facts, the knowledge, everything, so that they understand the task they need to do. They understand what you need from them, and you're not afraid to voice that you need help or that you don't understand something. So, taking away the guilt, the shame, the shyness, whatever, the anxiety around just being honest about what's going on with your workflow or your tasks that you have on hand will allow you to foster those healthier relationships in your professional settings. So those are some key rewards that you can get from your professional life. Now, I want you guys to stay tuned, keep watching, all right, because I have a very special offer at the end of this that I want to give to you guys that's definitely going to help you enhance and grow your emotional intelligence, okay? So we don't stop here. We don't stop at the basics. So we always want to keep going and keep going. But of course, at your pace, you know, I'm not going to rush you. But emotional intelligence has so many facets. And then, like I've already said, we've already went through the different domains from Daniel Goleman. And we've also talked about the additional components as well as how it affects your personal and professional life. So you could imagine how many different topics we can talk about and learn about when it comes to emotional intelligence. So make sure you stay tuned, you guys. Before we keep going, I want you to comment down below. Please comment down below. What part of emotional intelligence are you most interested about? Like I said, there's so many facets. Earlier, we talked about emotional self awareness, self motivation, self regulation, social skills, effective communication, all those things. So we have stress management, creativity through emotional expression. What are your favorite parts, or what are the parts that you really, really want to learn about that really pique your interest? So go ahead, take the time, comment down below. And if you haven't liked this video yet, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because we've been sitting here for how long? I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a little minute. And I need you to go ahead and like this video because clearly you're interested. You're clearly interested, all right? Now that you helped me out, left me a comment, I got one question for y'all. One question. Are you succeeding or are you lacking in emotional intelligence? I need to know. I need to know where you're at on the totem pole because a lot of us are in the middle, some of us are lacking, and some of us are really successful in it. So I would really love to know. This is how you can check though. If you're lacking, you may reject or suppress feelings. Rejecting the opportunity to feel or express your emotions by suppressing them or just ignoring them is a sure way to tell that you are lacking in emotional intelligence. That's just number one. If you don't even want to feel them or accept that they are there and try to tell you something, then you got some work to do. Okay. So when we decide that we're not going to allow our emotions to flow freely and accept them for what they are, then we end up bottling them and we end up hurting ourselves even more during the process of navigating life. So you definitely want to watch out for that. Suppressing how you feel will eventually lead to an emotional outburst of some sort where you cannot regulate yourself and it just comes all out. So you just need to think of that whole analogy of shaking up a Coke bottle and then all of a sudden open it and it's just like explosion everywhere. That's exactly how your emotions are going to be when you bottle them up like that. And then people keep pressing those buttons, those triggers that you don't want to see and you don't want to acknowledge, and then one day you just erupt, right? Because like we said at the beginning, everyone does have a breaking point, and if you don't want to accept where you're at or accept who you are and be aware of yourself and reflect on your behaviors and actions or the things that have hurt you, then you're going to have a breaking point that you might be embarrassed about or that might tarnish things around you. But on the contrary, if you're succeeding, then you listen and reflect on your emotions. You listen to yourself and you take the time to reflect on what yourself is trying to tell you, basically, whether that's through journaling or whatever type of method that you use. You take that time to look back on your actions, your behaviors, and the emotions that come up during certain situations so that you can make peace with them or just understand them on a deeper level so that you can live a healthier life where you're aware of yourself. Next on the list, we have experiencing a rough childhood or an environment where the conditions weren't as great for you. Having a childhood that was rough or harsh, or having these experiences in the environment that was rough or harsh, prohibits you from even making room to acknowledge how you felt. You really just didn't have that time to even sit and think about your feelings because you had other factors in your life that played on who you were and what your outcome was going to be at that time. So we can't help how we grew up or the environments that we were exposed to during those times of our childhood. But you do need to realize that those early childhood memories and those exposures in those environments that you had are definitely shaping how you move within the world today. So, for example, if you grew up around people who were telling you that crying was weak, that you shouldn't show your emotions, told you to don't be sensitive or a crybaby or to man up or anything like that, then you probably experience people telling you today in the present that you were kind of emotionless or cold or just don't really have empathy for other people. That's a possibility. That's not everybody, but if you haven't worked on yourself, it's very possible that people are telling you these things. On the other side, if you grew up around people who were like, express how you feel, it's okay to feel your emotions. Yeah, you guys talked about your emotions. Some people in the world might label you as a sensitive or a crybaby or too emotional or, just too much to handle for them because you are comfortable with your emotions. So it can go on any side of the spectrum. So if you do find yourself on the side where people call you cold or emotionless because you did have that experience growing up, people told you that crying was weak and to man up and whatever the case is, then you will have to do some extra work to work past those blockages and those beliefs that you have around feeling your emotions and understanding who you are as a person. But it's not impossible. It just takes dedication and motivation to being a better you. And if you're watching this, you've already started. So kudos to you, baby. But on the other side, you may be succeeding if you do the healing work. Like I just said, like it doesn't matter. Even if you did experience those conditions as a child or in a different environment that was not the best for you, if you decide to do the healing work to move past those blockages and the different beliefs that you have surrounding your emotions, you will be succeeding in emotional intelligence. And that's a guarantee. So, next on the lacking list is a series of failed relationships. Ooh. Mm. And this can be platonic, this can be in your family, this can be romantic, whatever the case is. You just can't seem to hold on to the relationships. You're always cutting somebody off, or you're always getting into an argument with somebody, or the relationships you do find yourself in are very toxic and they just don't last that long because they're just not that healthy. So, if you have a series of failed relationships, you may feel like all your relationships have conflict surrounding them and that conflict never gets resolved. There's never any talks about resolving the conflict. It's always just kind of brushed under the rug. And for some people, toxic connections is all they know. So they kind of like it. They're just like, when they come across something that's healthy, it's boring to them, or that person's too sensitive, or it's just not, it just wasn't giving what they wanted it to give, right? That's what we commonly hear, because everyone's like, well, I just want them to be a little bit more manly, or I want them to have a little bit more roughness around them. And essentially, you're asking for a little bit of toxicity. That just is what it is, okay? And I'm standing by it, okay? People enjoy toxic connections because they feel like it's exciting. You never know what you're going to experience with this person, and it just feels so passionate. It feels so real, and it feels so loving, but it only feels loving and passionate and real because that's what they believe love feels like. That's what they believe a connection in a relationship feels like, when it's not supposed to feel that way. So you also may have a series of failed relationships because you're unwilling to compromise with other people and see your responsibility or take accountability for the actions that you have done in a relationship with other people. And lastly, you might, with that whole low accountability, you might be blame shifting other people, or just placing the blame on others, just saying like, you know what, that has nothing to do with me. It's you. It's not me. I did everything right. You did this, that, and the third, right? So it's many reasons why you can have a failed relationship or a series of failed relationships, and it's up to you to kind of evaluate if that's you or if those are the people around you. Now, you will be succeeding if you have multiple healthy relationships. You look around you and you have relationships here, there, and there. They're growing, they're flourishing. Of course, they have conflict because every relationship has conflict, but they don't get swept under the rug. You guys talk about it and you guys move forward. You guys grow together and you guys just make sure that the connection stays balanced. Everyone's taking accountability. Everybody can see their perspectives and see their own sides and things so that they can move towards healthy connections. And just because I said you might have multiple healthy connections and relationships, it does not mean, once again, that you guys don't have some kind of friction sometimes, because every relationship has friction at one point or another. But if it's continued friction, continued toxicity, or a continued unbalanced flow, where it's not harmonious between the two of you guys or whatever relationship that you're in, then you're probably on the side of lacking more than succeeding with emotional intelligence. And even if the relationships that you're in, if it's the other person who has a lower emotional intelligence or is lacking in emotional intelligence, if you decide to continue to partake in those relationships and always say it's their fault or whatever the case is, or just say, they're always doing this thing, but whatever. If you decide to continue to partake in that energy or that relationship, then you're also lacking in emotional intelligence, because at some point you have to put up the boundary and say, you know what, this relationship is no longer for me, right? Right. And last on the lacking list is feeling like your emotions don't matter. So you might have this feeling of defeat and always think like, well, there's no point of me expressing how I feel because no one cares anyway, and that could come from childhood. People just kind of dismissed how you felt. And so now you feel like in the real world, no one really cares how you truly feel. So why say anything at all, right? I honestly used to struggle with that because I just feel like growing up, I was like an annoying kid. And it was because I was like the only child. So like when I would get around other people, I would just be very talkative, be very attached to them, and just kind of just be very weird. Like I'm still a weird person and very quirky, but like back then I was not aware of it. Now I'm aware of it, so I know that how I move and shake in the world and how to regulate myself. But back then I wasn't, right? So I definitely struggle with feeling like my emotions matter to other people or just alone matter to me. So, like I said, understanding who I am now, finding my self worth and my self value allow me to accept that my feelings are real, that people do care about my feelings. I care about my feelings. So, since I care about them, other people will care about them as well. When I acknowledge how I felt, it literally left no choice but for others around me to understand how I feel as well. And if they don't understand it or they continue to only want to see their perspective, it might be something that you want to step away from. You might not want to be around that person because they're not able to see you from a different lens or have empathy towards your emotions. Because if you have empathy towards their emotions, they should return that back to you if you're pouring that into them. So this creates a domino effect. When you understand yourself, then you can understand others, and then y'all can go back and forth. And it's just an even playing field for everyone in the relationship. And if you're succeeding, last one is you give yourself grace and space. Like I was talking about, I understand who I am. And when you start to understand your emotions and accept them, you give yourself grace and you give yourself the space to feel it. You give yourself the compassion and empathy that you're looking for from other people. So, yes, that is how you can tell if you are lacking in emotional intelligence or succeeding in emotional intelligence. But now we're going to talk about practical exercises for self awareness. In this module, we will look at different techniques and exercises that can help you become more self aware. First on the list, we have journaling. Journaling is very well known. If you don't know about journaling, where have you been? We all had a diary when we were younger, whether it was just a spiral notebook or an actual diary or a composition book, whatever you had. Okay. 9 times out of 10, we wrote something out of it. Now, did we all continue the practice or were we all consistent with it? No, but some of us were. Okay. So, in your adult life, journaling, bring it back. Bring back your diary, bring back talking to yourself and writing out your thoughts, because when you can write out your thoughts and just talk about your days in detail with pen to paper, then you're able to have that to go back to self reflect. Now, with journaling, it doesn't have to just be pen to paper. You can use a notes app, you can voice record yourself. Those are always fun, to go back and listen to your voice years later or just hear where you were at in that spot during that time. And you can also do video diaries. Like maybe you don't want to be a YouTuber or post things on YouTube, but maybe you just want to record yourself talking so that you can see your progression over the years and not only hear your stories, but also see your physical change. So, yes, it's about self awareness, but it's also about self reflection. I definitely have a lot of journals from back in the day where I read them and I'm like, whew, man, I was not a happy camper. I was not a happy camper at all. And even in those moments when I was writing them, I would just be like, man, this is really how I feel. Okay, I'm aware of how I feel. It's here on the paper. I can see it. It's real. And I'm acknowledging it. I'm becoming aware of who I am. So let me try to do something about it. Next on the list, we have meditation and mindfulness. Around the time that I started journaling, I also started doing meditation. And meditation is different for everybody. Everyone normally thinks of meditation as being you sit down on the ground or you sit somewhere, legs crossed, and you have your hands up and you're just meditating, right? That's how a lot of people think of it. But it's not just that. There's so many different ways to meditate and have mindfulness in your everyday life. And I talk about that in my self awareness course that is coming up shortly. But being able to meditate on your thoughts and hear what's going on inside of your mind will definitely help you become aware of who you are, what your constant mindset is, what your daily actions are. What do you want to do? What are your habits? What are your negative thoughts? What are your positive thoughts? All these things you're able to be mindful about. And finding different techniques of mindfulness along with meditation is definitely going to help you become more self aware. Next on the list, we have reflective writing exercises. Now, this can go with journaling as well, but I kind of see this as shadow work. So, if you don't know what shadow work is, I don't know how, because shadow work took over TikTok at least for the whole summer, I have to say, right? But if you don't know, then shadow work is basically addressing the triggers and the traumas that you have pushed behind the shadows that follow you around each and every day, honey. Okay. It's all about really diving deep into the things that might bother you, the things that reflect your daily choices and your behaviors and your actions and your mindset. All those things need to be addressed, and they can be addressed through shadow work. So finding different reflective exercises, which are basically journal prompts. I give you guys journal prompts in my podcast. If you guys listen to that, I give them to you on Instagram if you follow me on Instagram. So just different journal prompts are basically the same thing as reflective writing exercises. Next, we have free online quizzes. There's so many quizzes that can kind of help you understand who you are, whether you want to do a personality test and find out your personality type. If you want to take a quiz on your emotional intelligence, there's things for that as well. There's just so many different quizzes that can help you understand who you are as a person, whether it be career, in love, in friendship, and just yourself, and just help you become more self-aware. I love to take a quiz, and there's all you have to do is a Google search to find different self-awareness quizzes, and then it will lead you down a whole different path of different disciplines that you might be interested in, different specific topics that you can get down to the nitty gritty with. And last but not least, we have ask the people around you what they think about you, how they view you. And some of them might be wrong, some of them might be right, but more times than not, if they're trusted people around you and your friends or coworkers or something, they're probably going to be right because they see you from their lens and they can see how your actions play out, the demeanor that you give, your behavior, your mindset. They can kind of see how you move because they have it from a bird's eye view. They don't have it so close up like you have it with yourself. And that can really just help you become more aware of who you are. There's been so many times where someone will tell me something, I'm just like, really? They're just like, yeah. And then I will hear it again from someone else. I'm just like, dang, I guess I am like that. I guess I can be that way. So it's very helpful to hear what other people's opinions are of you. But of course, don't internalize that because you don't want to just be living according to how everyone else sees you. You also want to feel like you're living in true value to who you are. So, those are some self awareness exercises that you can do to help you understand who you are as a person and to really just get real familiar with who you are. Let's talk about what we learned today. We have made it to the end of our class. We talked about the difference between IQ and EQ, intelligence quotient, and emotional quotients. We also talked about Goldman's 5 domains of emotional intelligence. We talked about additional components of emotional intelligence and the impact of emotional intelligence in personal and professional relationships. We talked about what it looks like to succeed and to be lacking in emotional intelligence, as well as some practical self awareness exercises so that you can understand who you are and just really flourish in that. Now that you have learned all of these things, it's time for you to take your life serious, y'all. It's time for you to really understand your emotional intelligence level and understand how you can enhance that through an emotional intelligence course. So, like I said at the beginning, there are so many different aspects of emotional intelligence because it's such a broad topic. It's like saying therapy, right? Emotional intelligence is broad. So, there's so many aspects that I would love to be your teacher to help you understand the different levels and the different aspects of emotional intelligence so that you can enhance your skills. So, first and foremost, congratulate yourself for making it through your first emotional intelligence course. This was just a basics 101 introductory course, but I have something that can help you dive a little bit deeper. I'm offering a self awareness mastery emotional intelligence course to you guys. Okay, so what will you learn in this course? You're going to learn about who you are, of course, because it's self awareness. You're going to learn what you want and desire from life. You're going to learn how to identify your emotions and triggers, where your triggers come from, techniques to help with self reflection, and techniques to help with self discovery. Who is this for? This is for an amount of people. We have those looking to enhance their emotional intelligence. We got overthinkers, because you already know our mission here is to help the overthinkers to understand their emotions. Adults seeking healthier relationships, creatives, because if you don't understand who you are, do you understand your art? Do you? I don't know if you do. And teachers, if you want to teach other people about emotional intelligence or about self awareness, and you already have a class and you want to offer it to your class, this can be a nice course that you can offer them so that they are able to work on their self awareness. It can be whatever discipline, you could be in whatever subject, but for some reason you want to talk about self awareness. I got a course for you. So, what is included in this course? We have, of course, an in depth online course. It comes with worksheets and activities and a PDF PowerPoint. It also comes with one-to-one weekly calls. So If you have any questions about the homework or you just want to talk about the lesson in hand because you need a deeper understanding, you can always book a free call with me because it will be included with this course. We'll also have group discussions in the community for you to just kind of bounce ideas off of or discuss the homework if that's what you please to do. And free time to complete at your own convenience because it is an online course, so it's self paced and you can move about it however you want because we live busy lives and we are grown with the responsibilities, right? You can purchase down below. There is a link in the description box, the bio, whatever we call it here on YouTube. And you can go ahead and purchase it, and it will be clear as day down at the bottom for you to enhance your emotional intelligence. So, if the people that this is for, I would definitely enjoy having you in my class, and I would love to be your teacher because it's just something I loves to do. So go ahead and click the link below to get started with us and get to learning. I have so many more courses coming. This is literally course one of like 10 or 11. So get ready to start learning emotional intelligence with us, and I can't wait to see you there. But if this is where you drop off and you just came to get the little free ski just to start thinking about emotional intelligence, I do thank you for coming. Make sure you do subscribe at this channel and connect with me here on YouTube, of course, or on Instagram and TikTok. I'm really heavy on Instagram. So if you want some free journal prompts or you just want some free emotional intelligence education, it's there all on my Instagram and you're going to have a grand time. So follow me at the Emotional Workshop on Instagram and TikTok. And you can also email us at theemotionalworkshop@gmail.com, as well as visit my website at theemotionalworkshop.my.canva.site. Okay. It's a cute website and you can find all the information there if you want to join my email list, if you want to book a call so that you can talk about the homework that you purchased, or if you want to purchase the course at a later date. The link will always be here on this video or on my website. So it has been a pleasure teaching you guys today. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining my emotional intelligence one-on-one introductory class. I hope you guys have a great day and you take emotional intelligence serious. Whenever you're ready to learn more, I will always be here to help you enhance and grow your personal development through emotional intelligence. Okay. So with that being said, I always love to tell you guys, make sure you do something that makes you feel loved this week. Okay. I love y'all and I hope you have a great day. Tschüss.